Well, ladies and gentlemen, Marathon has officially had its gameplay revealed, and I promised an honest review with my unfiltered thoughts, both good and bad. Today, we're going to discuss gameplay, art style, world building, and story, as well as every key piece of information you need to know to be up to date with all things Marathon. I'll most likely do another video once the alpha rolls around April 23rd, so I can really break down the game on a fundamental level and give you guys a true opinion on if it feels fun to play. But today, we've got my first thoughts, and there are mixed. There's some things I love, there's some things I utterly despise, and other things I'm concerned about. I feel as though a lot of you watching this video may think pretty similarly to me in a lot of things, but with it being in an alpha state, and for Bungie specifically looking for brutal feedback, and I say brutal, I won't hold anything back on my thoughts with this game. With that said, this is Marathon, Bungie's successor to the original trilogy that started in 1994, slated for release September 2025. I feel with what I'm about to say, it may end up getting its release date pushed back, but time will tell. So let's start with what I'm most interested in, gameplay. Once I touch on gameplay, this is going to leak into the overall art style and feel of the game, but I'm going to timestamp everything so you can jump to whichever spot you want. So first of all, there are many different weapon archetypes. There's SMGs, snipers, shotguns, and on top of that, weapons will have progression and you'll be able to customize them over time. I like the weapon variety as it allows you to play the way you want to play. I have heard that Halo weaponry may be a thing in this game. I did see the sniper had a red reticle similar to Halo, time will tell. I know people from Destiny and other franchises will enjoy the variety and the weapon progression / customization. Personally, it's not the biggest deal to me, as loot and gear will be a massive part of the game as a whole. We knew that it's an extraction shooter. The loot you can get won't just be weapons, it'll be everything. So implants, cores, weapon attachments as well. This raises the question, what are implants and what are cores? Well, from all the research I've done, these implants and cores will allow you to further optimize your loadout to give you a truly unique build. For example, cores will give you extra passives. A double jump can become a triple jump, whereas implants will give you extra agility, extra stamina, and extra shields. In a team of 3, you'll be dropping into a map to loot gear and extract. However, you can alternatively hunt down players to get loot that way. It seems like there's a big emphasis on both PvE and PvP. However, in all of the gameplay I've seen, there was more AI killing than actual PvP gameplay. Personally, I want more PvP, but I'll play the game before I comment on this further. Now, in speaking of teams of 3, there is the ability to play as a solo player going up against a squad. Now, I'm telling you guys right now, I will play solo, I will go up against teams on my own, I will take them out. But there is no solo search where all 15 to 18 other players are solo queue. It will always be a team of 3, or you'll be solo versing a team of 3. The only solo option is to opt out of having teammates. My concern here is skill-based matchmaking. How punishing will it be? And will it make this solo queuing function redundant? I also have to ask, what if one person searches solo queue? Does that mean another team can only search as 2 people? Will it mean you have to match 2 other solo queue players to make up the 3? How is it going to work? These are the things I think about, as sure, on paper, it's all well and good, but actually when you roll it out into the game, into the wild, how is it exactly going to function? Speaking of functionality, I'm curious if Marathon is built off the old original Halo engine. As we know, Destiny was actually built off the Halo engine. I wonder if they stripped Destiny back and then rebuilt it for Marathon. If so, many unique bugs and traits from past Halo games will be lurking below the surface waiting for me to exploit. This could equal some very fun gameplay interactions, which actually gets me a bit excited, but it also means, and when I heard the other 16 players in the lobby, I was like, I remember the old Halo engine really struggled initially to go above 16 players. I wonder if this is a technical limitation that's affecting them. It very well might be. In terms of actual gunplay, the speed of the gameplay is similar to a slightly sped up version of Halo 3. Yes, there's abilities to make you faster, and that's going to be fun to find the best possible build for the best possible playstyle, but I'm more focused on how the guns actually handle how they play at this point. Now, speaking of how you play, and this is the big thing, you lose your gear if you die, and that's going to annoy people. It's literally what an extraction shooter is. From what I heard, if you're good at the game, you can just straight up outplay people regardless of the loadout, but then again, it raises the question, and I'll see when the alpha rolls around, if skill-based matchmaking is strict, will you keep running into absolutely stacked out optimal squads and you have no gear and get stomped? How are you going to factor in skill-based matchmaking, or maybe maybe there won't be any, and yet you go up against absolutely elite level players who have decked out gear. Seems like a recipe for disaster. I also heard that yes, you can get basic gear back quite quickly, but time will tell on that front on how effective that is. Now, the reason why I'm focusing on competitive stuff, and it's why it's in my brain so much, is because there will be zero proximity voice chat in-game when Marathon launches. A core feature of Bungie Halo was social features. There would be so many cool elements to having a proximity voice chat. Hell, you have to be over 18 just to access the alpha build. I really think proximity voice chat, especially for an extraction shooter where everyone's looting, the game should have proximity voice chat, and more than that, really strong social features. And if you want super competitive, that's what the ranked playlists are for. Now, this brings us to loadouts, runners, characters, and archetypes. On screen are the 4 loadouts you get to choose from, as well as what is in each class. First up is Locust, a soldier featuring push forward gameplay. First one into the action, and on screen you can see his abilities. You have Search and Destroy, which is his prime ability, Riot Barricade, which is his tactical ability, Thruster, and Tactical Sprint. For the unique soldier class, he seems a bit bulky, almost like a tank, so time will tell on how he plays. Next up we have Blackbird, a recon class. Blackbird's speciality is finding out where players are and punishes poor positioning. Again, abilities on screen now. Echo Pulse seems like you can see through walls. I'm kind of thinking Echo Location. There's also Tracker Drone, which is probably going to be like an MAV. You put it into the sky and you actually see where the enemies are. Again, focus on recon. You then have Interrogation and Stalker Protocol. Third, we have Glitch, specializing in disrupting the enemy to make their lives a nightmare. Glitches for abilities and traits are Amplify, Disruptor, Microjets, and Power Slide. This seems like very advanced movement. The Power Slide, obviously you can see in the trailer, goes very far. It allows you to disrupt the enemy and then get away very, very quickly. Although honestly, this seems like a hero shooter almost. They said, no, it's class based and you can customize it a lot. Again, I'm going to wait to actually play this, but if I can't customize these characters to exactly the way I want, I'm still going to say it's borderline a hero shooter. Finally, we have Void, and I'll most likely be playing as Void, as it gives you the prime ability of a smoke screen. You get an active camo, which is going to be fantastic for solo play to flank people, and then his 2 traits are Shadow Dive and Shroud. Lots of stealth. You give me a sniper or a knife, I'm going to absolutely shred with Void. Still seems like a hero shooter, but we will see. On the whole, there'll be 6 main classes to play with. You get 4 for the alpha. Each team can pick as many of one character as they like. As Bungie said, there's a lot of customization once you actually pick the character to give you more variety. In saying that, there are so many red flags with everything I just said. Bungie can say it's an extraction shooter, but in many ways, again, it seems like a hero shooter. Moving on from that, there is a money system where you can purchase gear before loading in. I'm assuming by completing contracts and extracting with loot, your vault will grow in value, and from that, you can choose what to drop in with. The money system is fine. It's pretty stock standard stuff when it comes to an extraction shooter. What I really want to see is the ability for unique player customization. So not only from a gameplay standpoint can you fully customize your character, I want to be able to fully customize your character in how it looks. I want players to feel unique, and I don't want it to be all pay to unlock skins. Speaking of microtransactions, I spoke to a few content creators who played the Bungie playtest, and from what I heard, the game will not be free to play. It'll probably be $40. It won't be a full price game. In saying that, some of the content creators also asked about microtransactions. The answer Bungie gave was not super clear, which raised concerns that just like Destiny, they plan to absolutely bloat the game full of microtransactions. Again, time will tell on this, but any Halo player who's watched any of my videos, if Bungie do anything similar to what happened with Halo and Halo Infinite, I will be there to speak out against it. You have my word. This brings me to overall art style, and this is where I actually have a lot of concerns. I'm also going to include other concerns with other aspects I have, so here we go. Hopefully, because the game is in an alpha, it's in an early enough state that changes can be made to numerous aspects of the game and how it looks. When I first watched the reveal teaser, all of the corresponding art material and even the 8.5-minute CGI story about Marathon looked amazing. It's filled with color, soul, a unique futuristic style. It has a very strong art style with a very bold personality. That's what I thought we would get. Then we see the actual game and it feels flat. I know a lot of people said they loved the art style that was shown before the reveal, myself included. I don't feel as though that's fully represented in game at this current point in time. It kind of felt like Robloxy, very indie, almost BattleBit in many ways. The text and the blocky characters reminded me very much of Starfield in nature, as even Starfield felt like it was missing that soul. This game feels that same way. The biggest concern I have is that after today, I'd say 50% of players went from being extremely excited to being lukewarm about the game. From going from this could be a massive breakout hit, they'll be like, yeah, I'll still try it, but it's not going to be that massive whoa game that we expected it to be. And that should sound the alarms at Bungie. Here's what I would do if I was in charge, and I strongly suggest Bungie takes notes here. First, the art style needs a lot of work. The environments too, they need soul, not this dreary atmosphere. Bungie themselves said, and literally the man who made the Halo 3 maps still works at the studio, he said that maps need to be fun the 100th or the 1000th time you play it. Thankfully, he also said you get to that point via iteration, feedback, and refinement. The maps need soul and color. The maps themselves, in regards to what is on the map, can be tweaked over time, so I'm not so worried about that. But if you're looking at the same gray maps all of the time, that's not good. Halo Reach actually had that issue with the forge pieces. It was Concrete Jungle 101. Next up is the characters. They need to be uniquely customizable without spending money. Meaningful progression that rewards time spent in game. Yes, you can have your microtransactions because we know you're going to anyway, but each character needs to be able to be uniquely customized, have a progression system and rank at launch, that's very important, and have meaningful gear unlocks based on achieving things in game. Third, social features, and I cannot state this enough, there's a reason games like Lethal Company and Repo have been so popular recently. People love to play with their friends, people love to hear others, and people, for the most part, just want to have fun on their games. Proximity voice chat, no hyper strict skill-based matchmaking. Of course, balance the lobbies to keep it fair, but don't go to the point where people are going to feel as though they're playing a second job. Fourth, and this can be fixed between now and launch, I'll talk about more of this when I actually get to play the game, but it needs to be snappy, responsive, and unsluggish. The overall movement speed seems okay, but I think again with the art style, it's a bit hit miss. I understand a video game for everyone is a game for no one, so I don't think Marathon will be for everyone, but if you do want the best chance for the game to succeed, I think the maps need to have a bit more color and life. I also think it's important that each player should be able to play the way they want to. This means that solo queue, duo queue, and trio queue at the very least should be there at launch. Do not restrict someone on how they can play the game. That is the cardinal rule and the biggest mistake you can make. I'm going to cite Halo Infinite's campaign. So many amazing things were found on Halo Infinite's campaign, all removed. They were optional glitches that didn't need to be done and yet were removed anyway. This brings me to fifth and finally, Marathon has a rich history. Making it a multiplayer only game, I feel, is a mistake. You could tell wonderful campaign stories with Marathon, and if the game needs to be delayed for more story-driven narratives to be created, do it. Make it a full price game, add a campaign. The fact that it's only multiplayer raised so many warning bells with so many people, and rightfully so, that they are concerned Bungie, you are chasing the almighty dollar and the dollar alone. It's confirmed the game is going to have a battle pass. You know what that means, lots of microtransactions. I also have to say, the pre-release leading up to the reveal, that was awesome. The story and the threads that people were cryptically putting together was amazing. In saying that, and this is the big but, when it gets down to it, when people actually load up the game, if there is no campaign to show players through what is going on clearly, they'll just play the multiplayer, and only a very small few will understand just how broad and wonderful the Marathon universe is. And when you factor in profits, which is all the big companies care about, Bungie, you would make so much more money if there was an amazing campaign to go alongside the multiplayer. You are shooting yourselves in the foot if you do not do this. I genuinely feel like the pre-release material before the initial reveal, so all of the teaser content, is more akin to a successor to the original Marathon series than what was shown today. I'll have to really break down the game on a fundamental level before I can truly judge it, but this is where I'm currently at. From everyone I've spoken to, and it's been a lot, as I wanted to be very informed when making this video for you guys. As I understand it, there'll be a lot of unique gameplay interactions that may make the game incredible to play, so watch this space in that regard. With all of that out of the way, this brings me to the future, the alpha, and everything you need to know. So the closed alpha will begin April 23rd and run to May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Alpha invites will be sent a few days before launch via email to selected people. If you get an alpha code, it doesn't give you instant access. A lot of people have been thinking, yes, I got an alpha code, I get to play. No, it actually gives you a higher priority chance of being put in. That means good luck getting in if you don't have a code, as it seems like even if you have a high priority marker next to your account, there's no guarantee you'll get in. You must redeem said code on Bungie.net, and it's a North American focused test. That means yes, you can play from outside North America, but you'll be playing on North American servers. For me, this is fine. I do it anyway on Halo, but just be aware of that. And finally, if you do get chosen, you get 2 friend friend codes so you can make a squad. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is this. What will $40 get you on launch? And you guys can give me your thoughts. $40 gets you 6 characters, 3 maps, 1 game mode at launch, plus battle passes and microtransactions. I already know a lot of you will have a lot to say about this, but to me, that is not worth $40. That sounds like a free-to-play title, and I think even Halo Infinite launched with more value. And that's it. That is everything about the Marathon reveal, good, bad, or otherwise, that you needed to know. You guys come to me for an honest opinion, and yes, there is a lot of potential with this game if feedback is genuinely listened to. Marathon is in an alpha state and should be treated as such. I listened to the whole presentation, and Bungie themselves said some characters need some further balancing, so I'll factor this into my overall review once the alpha launches. So with that, I ask you guys, what did you think of the reveal? What did you think of Marathon? I'll have a few alpha codes to give away once I get them, so if you would like one, just leave a comment on your thoughts. A like also goes a long way as usual. Curious as to what you guys have to say today. Hopefully I echoed the concerns you have too. If there's anything I've missed, leave me a comment and I'll get an answer for you before my next Marathon video. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.